Now, she is Britain's biggest crime writer. Her books have sold more than 10 million copies worldwide and have been translated into 29 languages.
Martina Cole is who we're talking about. She's written 20 bone-chilling novels, and we've got the book right here. Her latest book, Revenge, is out this year.
And the author is with us this morning. We say good morning to Martina. Morning, Martina. Welcome to the show. So I guess crime does pay. Right?
It certainly pays for me. Yeah.
But it's been amazing. You've been your first book came out 20 years ago, and this is the 20th book. So you've been writing a book every year.
I have. I mean, it's not easy, but I think I'm a really lucky person because I get paid to do something that I absolutely adore, I suppose, like yourselves.
Right.
So it's not that bigger heartache to sit and write all day and enjoy yourself. Someone once said to me, you know, don't you get lonely, Martina? You know, you're on your own all day with these people. And I said, well, no, because, you know, I've got the kind of job where I can kill them if they get on my nerves. So few people can say that.
So some of the twists and turns in your books are because you're having a bad day inside. Okay, go on with it.
When I get fed up with certain characters, they're gone.
But the stories just come to you like that when you're at your writing desk?
I think it's like most things, really. You know, sort of, if you ever write a letter and you sit there and you write a letter to your mum or your aunt or something, and you think, oh, I'll tell them that, or I better tell them that that's happened. And it's very much the same when you write a novel. As you write the book, you start thinking, oh, actually, this might happen, that might happen, and the book just grows and grows. I mean, mine are very big books.
Right. One might suspect that you were actually a real criminal in order to... but you are not, you know, we have...
This has been said before, yes. I think sometimes people think the Russians, because I sell hugely in Russia, I think they think the Russians buy my books because it's like a handbook of the London underworld, so...
I think it's, you know, primarily because of the details that you read in the books. They're amazing. I mean, where do you... You know,
do your research and gather information.
I do research very, very well, and I always say to anyone, if ever I do writers' conferences, you know, you must really research your books, because if you write something wrong, I can guarantee you there'll be 100,000 people out there who will say that shouldn't have happened like that. So I research my books as thoroughly as possible. I have a network of people who I can talk to who say, no, this would happen, or... You know,
okay, when you say network of people, it sounds like people who actually practice the craft, maybe?
I'm the only author in the world where you know, when people help me with my book, normally authors get, put my name in your book, you know, give me a mention, and I get, don't put my name in the book, don't give me a mention. So I don't. But it is a very exciting... Once I start researching a book, it's so exciting to find out all these things, because, you know, I'm a little tiny lady, I'm not an aggressive person at all, so I think my aggressive side comes out when I'm...
in the book. In fact, we hear that your books are the most borrowed books from prison libraries. Are you surprised at that?
No, and they're the most stolen books from shops as well, which is another strange fact, but I like to think that my books are set in the criminal fraternity, so it's actually a compliment to me if the people in the criminal fraternity want to read them.
Okay, which is, I was just thinking along those lines, where have you ever been scared or surprised when you talk to some of these people and they tell you how they do things and you're like, wow, really?
I mean, sometimes you're quite shocked. I mean, sometimes I'll write the book. One of my books, my second book, Lady Killer, is about a serial killer. And I remember reading it back about 4 years later, because we were doing a script for it. And I was really shocked at what I'd written, because once you finish a book and you go on to another book, that everything's gone out of your mind, because you're full of new characters, you've got all new people. And I was really shocked myself. When we made The Take, which was one of my television programmes, we'd done a 4-part series, and we got Tom Hardy. I mean, we had such a fantastic cast. Kirsten Waring, and Tom was just, before he exploded onto the scene. And I'd written the character of Freddie Jackson for The Take, and he was Freddie Jackson. He was exactly as I pictured him. He spoke, he walked.
Was that surreal for you?
Oh, it was completely surreal, I mean, but Tom is such a fantastic actor. And then, you know, sort of, Kirsten Waring was so fantastic as his wife. I mean, we had a really big stellar cast. I mean, it was fantastic. But Tom was Freddie Jackson, and it was absolutely surreal. It was fabulous.
You know, so the last 20 years has been amazing for you. You know, you've written 20 books, most of them all bestsellers. But tell me about the big break that you got with your first book. Do you still recall that?
Oh, well, I wrote Dangerous Lady, my first book, when I was 21 years old. And I was all on my own with my son. My son's father had died when he was a baby, so there was only us. He's nearly 36 now. And I kept the book for nearly 10 years in a cupboard.
Really?
And I wrote more books, I wrote scripts, I wrote for the BBC, I wrote all sorts of things. But I just didn't think anyone would ever want to read anything that I'd written. And then I was coming up 30, and I don't know, it was my watershed, and I thought, I'm going to really try and get published, and I'm so glad that I did.
Otherwise, it'd still be in the cupboard.
The rest is history, yeah, the rest is history.
And every time your book hits the bestseller list, does it surprise you, or do you expect that? How do you celebrate that?
I never expect it. Every year I think, oh, this will be the last year. We just got the #1 actually in England before I flew out here this week, which was fabulous.
Congratulations.
So I was really pleased about that. But every year I think, oh, you know, I hope people will buy it. I mean, I've never written for an audience, ever. I've always written for me.
Right.
And I think that's the secret for any author. Write something you would like to read. And hopefully lots of other people will want to read it too.
Well, we can ask you about this book, Revenge. I mean, hopefully it's not based on any true personal accounts, you know.
No.
But tell us about this book. So, I guess different themes that also you decide. I mean, what was for this one? How did
all my
sound?
books have the same sort of. It's all I write from the point of view of the criminal as opposed to the police. This book is a man. The main character in the book, Michael. Something that he does 30 odd years earlier. Which means nothing to him. It's a violent act, but it meant nothing to him at the time. He was very young, you know, he was coming up in the criminal underworld. And then 30 odd years later, his daughter goes missing. And
it's
I can't say too much. I don't
Okay.
want to
we don't want to do that.
But suffice to say, be sure your sins will find you out.
And we know that a lot of your fans enjoy reading your book, but you mentioned once in one of the interviews that this could be your last book.
No, I don't think I'll ever stop writing. I think I'll write until, you know, I can't write anymore.
So, are you working on the next one already?
Yeah, I've already started the next one. The next one's a big sweeping book about a woman, a young woman it starts in Soho in the 1960s, late 60s, and it goes right up to the present day, and it's all about her life and her loves and her problems and...
I don't know how you do it. It's amazing. Research and all, and writing
fantastic.
and all in a year. Thank you so much,
very
Martina,
much
for coming in this morning. With us in studio, Martina Cole, author of a series of crime thrillers and the UK's best-selling female writer of that genre.
Her latest book, Revenge, is out in bookstores, so do check it out.